Okay, so how we're going to search for those Aladdin Blu-rays. Oh, there's no need. I found a copy right here. That's a laser disc, but keep trying. And how about you, Iago?
I don't believe it! We're never gonna find those stupid Blu-rays!
Patience, Iago. Wait, found it right here. That's still a laser disc, but yeah, alright.
Here's an idea. How about you just willy-nilly over there and rob that lamp and then wish for some Blu-rays?
The what now? How long have we had this?
Let's just say I know a guy.
Couldn't hurt. I wish for the Aladdin Blu-rays.
You have to rob it, you moron!
Oh, right. Well, how about that? It actually works. Okay, this time I know I found it.
With his beaver cap and his checkered tie, let's see what he has to say. What's he got for us this time? They're probably Blu-rays. It's a guilty pleasure. It's a comfort measure. Shine the lights, shoot the camera, smile for the world in panorama. He likes to impersonate Gottfried.
Hey everybody, Aficionados Chris here, and today we're going to be reviewing not one, but 3 Disney films on Blu-ray. This is a film that not only have I been waiting for anxiously to own on Diamond Edition Disney Blu-ray, many people have grown up with this film. In fact, so much so it's been highly requested that I review this particular film on Blu-ray, and I guess it's no surprise as to what film that is. Today we're going to be taking a look at Disney's animated classic, Aladdin, on the Diamond Edition collection, which I actually think might be the last in the Diamond Edition run, as well as the 2 sequels, which are available exclusively on the Disney Movie Club website. But I know everyone's come here for me to talk about the original film because, like I said, many people have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. It's become, I'd honestly say it's become a Disney classic over the years. It's certainly one of my favorite Disney. In fact, honestly, if I really think about it, might honestly be my favorite of the 2D animated Disney films. It's usually a toss-up between, sometimes either Hunchback or Hercules. Hercules tends to sometimes get a little higher than Hunchback, but Aladdin's always had a special place in my heart and in my memories, especially for not just an animation, but just as a film, and introduced, at least in my case, to 2 of some of my favorite comedians of all time, that being the late, great Robin Williams as the voice of the genie, as well as the great Gilbert Gottfried as the voice of Iago. As you can probably figure out, especially with the lighting that I have going on here, this is a very shiny slipcover for this one. As the series has run, the Diamond Editions have gone from blue to gold to silver. I believe the 101 Dalmatians Blu-ray I reviewed a while back was the first in the silver line, and as far as we know from what they've released, and with the previously reviewed Snow White Signature Collection, it seems like they might be quietly retiring the Diamond Edition line from the Disney Blu-ray catalog, which is a bit of a shame because I've really enjoyed collecting these, and I've actually am still missing quite a few of them that I'd like to get a hold of. But to end it with Aladdin, if that's the way they're going, really a perfect send-off to that particular line of Blu-rays. I think it's a great way to wrap it all up with starting with Snow White back on the first Diamond Edition and then ending with Aladdin. Now this Blu-ray, as expected, it being a Diamond Edition, it is just fantastic. This movie has never looked or sounded better than it has here, and this was actually available on Blu-ray for quite some time in England. In fact, I know quite a few people, well, at least impatient people, I suppose, who actually bought the United Kingdom Blu-ray because it had a steelbook over there, and it was region-free, meaning that if you bought it, imported it to your home, you could actually watch it on your PlayStation 3 or any kind of Blu-ray player and be able to watch it without any problems. But I've seen from screenshots, at least on sites like Blu-ray.com, comparatively, the picture quality on this is way better than that release. So for people who probably own that one, outside of the the extras that are included on this one, I really think it's better to get this to replace that, because the picture and audio quality is 1,000 times better than that release was. And speaking of sound quality, that's another great thing about this release that differs from the other ones, is that this actually has a 7.1 surround sound mix, which sounds amazing. And going on with the tradition of reviewing Disney films, especially the Diamond Editions, and like I said, considering this is potentially the last Diamond Edition, I think now's the time for me to finally read an excerpt from Leonard Maltin's book, The Disney Films. And as you can see here, this is actually a slightly different version than the one I've been showing in other videos. That's because that was the second edition. This here is the fourth. And, well, the fourth edition is the only one that actually covers up to Aladdin. In fact, it actually goes all the way up to Dinosaur in the year 2000. So, without any further ado, let's read an excerpt. Aladdin proved to be a tremendous crowd pleaser and also had adults paying to see it as much as children. Many of them went back a second or third time, just to catch all of Robin Williams' lines. The result was a staggering $217 million at the box office. That daunting figure was exceeded by the revenue from the home video sales the following year, when the film sold 24 million copies. But what I really want to talk about with this release is the extras. Now, even though there's not a lot of them, at least not a lot of new ones, the ones that they've included that are brand new are great, especially the big one, which is the featurette talking about the genie and the late Robin Williams, with Musker, Clements, and animator Eric Goldberg, who, at least for people like me, is a legend in the Disney animation field. He was actually responsible for the character animation of the genie for this film, so he's a great, right up there with Ward Kimball and Glenn Keane, just a legend in animation. But I mean, that's more of a topic that I'm more of a nerd about, so it's very fair to assume that not everyone out there knows who that is. But rest assured, it's great to hear from him on that featurette, as well as Clements and Musker for giving us this film. They had a lot to say about the choosing Robin Williams for that role and why they wanted him so passionately to have him play the genie for the film, and how the character just became even better than they could have imagined having Robin Williams play him. But everything else, as I can remember, because I've never actually owned the Aladdin, like the original 2-disc DVD way back when. I don't know if all the extras from that are on here, but at least ones I can recall being on there, I've seen them. Like one that stood out to me was they actually have the Genie's Lamp Tour thing with Gilbert Gottfried reprising his role as Iago for that, which is a fun little cartoony extra that they included. I mean, anything with the Iago is all right with me. I know a lot of people say the Genie's a favorite character. He's a great character, by all means. He's one of my favorites, but if I really had to choose, I gotta say Iago's my favorite. Honestly, he's my favorite Disney character of all time. I know a lot of people think he's irritating and annoying. I love him for that. I think he's just hysterical, but that's really all I have to say. But speaking of Iago, I think that perfectly transitions to the next Blu-ray that we're going to be talking about, because that's really all I have to say about the Diamond Edition. Let's talk about the two sequels to the Aladdin film, Return of Jafar and Aladdin, King of Thieves. Now, like I said earlier, this is actually not available in any retail store. This is available exclusively on the Disney Movie Club website. I know from people I've spoken to, there's a lot of mixed reception for Return of Jafar, but there seems to be an overall praise for King of Thieves. Now, I want to talk about Return of Jafar because I actually grew up with this. I mean, I grew up with all of them, but I do distinctly remember, for some strange reason, I would watch Return of Jafar a lot more often than either the third film or the first film. And I think that stems back to my appreciation for the character Iago, and I really liked watching a story where he was the focus, essentially. A great point that a friend of mine made when I was thinking, why do so many people hate Return of Jafar? Is it because there's a lot of people that just don't like the Iago character? And that may very well be. But when you really get right down to it, there isn't really a whole lot they could have done with a sequel, because pretty much all the character arcs are wrapped up in the first film, except Iago's. Like, he's the only character really who wasn't finished. Like, his part of the story wasn't done. Granted, he didn't have much to do in the first film outside of being, well, the wisecracking evil sidekick. But for people like me who really enjoyed his wisecracks, it was great to have a film, at least for me, to focus more on him and see him rejuvenate himself, become a good guy. So yes, I like Return of Jafar. It's not great. It's got its fair share of problems, and well, as you'd expect from a DTV film, its animation is not that great, its writing could be a bit better, but where it gets it right, and where it fails, it fails. Like, I think the biggest complaint that I know is that people have a problem with Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson on The Simpsons, for taking over the role of the genie after Robin Williams' departure. During this time, there was a bit of a problem going on with Robin Williams. So I wouldn't really go so far as to call it a feud, but something of a disagreement. You can read all about it if you look online. But there was a falling out with Robin Williams in the studio, so he didn't reprise the role for the second film. And you know what? Dan Castellaneta, he's a very talented voice actor. Heck, one of my favorite roles of his is not even Homer Simpson. I adored him as Earthworm Jim on the Earthworm Jim cartoon. And yeah, he's not Robin Williams, but he's doing the best he can. Like, there's a lot of times where he's trying to do the Robin Williams shtick of, changing voices and doing impressions. A lot of them don't quite hit the mark. Sometimes you start hearing Homer, sometimes you start hearing Krusty. Like, you'll hear some Simpsons character he's played in there, but if you take into consideration, he had a lot of, he had some big shoes to fill for that role, and I think he did a decent job for what he was given. And if you ask me, if you watched the TV series, which, by the way, that was a great TV series, if I'm going to bring that up. Hope they release that on DVD one day. But gradually, as the series went on, I thought he started to fit the role a little better. He started to, kind of get comfortable in it, give his own little spin. I really think the best thing about it, really, or rather, what they should have done, is give Dan his own take on the character and not try to do a Robin Williams impression, essentially. Like, not trying to be as Robin Williams as he can. I really think that was problematic for his performance in this film, because it's certainly not the best, but I think he did a decent job for what he was given, and I still like the film very much. It, like I said, it has its problems, but I still very much enjoy it. But I think that's enough about that film. I think we should move on to the one that everybody seems to like, and that's The King of Thieves. And I am no different. I really like King of Thieves. In fact, it's easily, it's not as good as the first film, but it does come pretty close. Heck, I've seen a lot of articles where people have hailed King of Thieves as the single greatest Disney direct-to-video film, at least in the sequel realm. And I can certainly see why. And the biggest thing, of course, is that Robin Williams, after a newfound agreement, actually came back to play the genie. And yeah, boy, does it show. He should have been playing that character. I laughed so hard, and it had been years since I had seen King of Thieves. I hadn't seen it since, well, probably around the time it came out, back in '96. So watching it as an adult with a fresh mind, loving the first film, I was genuinely enjoying myself. I thought it was really fun. There's some really funny stuff in this movie. Obviously mostly from Robin, but it is a genuinely well-made movie, I would argue, especially for a DTV film. It's still got a relatively low budget, so the animation still isn't quite up to par with the film, at least the first film. It's more of it is essentially a TV movie. In fact, both of them are. This one basically piloted the TV series, and this one wrapped up the TV series. So they kind of tell, at least all three of them, and sandwiched in them the TV series, they tell a full, complete story. But King of Thieves is a great movie. I really enjoyed it. It was great revisiting it. I genuinely was surprised at how funny and good it was. And that's saying a lot, considering I do like Return to Jafar, but even I'll admit, King of Thieves is a way better sequel as far as Aladdin sequels go. But that's really all I have to say about the films. Now I want to talk about the Blu-ray quality, and I'm a little disappointed in this regard. As opposed to how fantastic Aladdin looked and sounded, and I know people are going to say, well, wait a minute, these are direct-to-video films, they're not going to look that great. This is true. That's not what I'm knocking here. What I am knocking is the lack of effort put into it. Now, these do look great for direct-to-video films. They have the right, they have about as much high quality as they're going to get. But the problem is not with that. They crop these films. And what I mean by that is, of course, because these were essentially straight-to-video films done in 4:3, which is, back with the tube TVs, that was full screen, they have decided to chop off the top and bottom of the 4:3 frame so that it fits a 16:9 screen, kind of like the video you're watching now. So instead of seeing the picture like it should, they've cut off parts of it so it can fill, and that's really distracting because there's actually quite a few scenes in these movies where like characters' heads get cut off from being up to that level, or you don't see, like there's a scene in Return of Jafar where Aladdin has his hands out like this and you can't see it, so you don't know what's going on. And on King of Thieves there's a scene I remember where the genie is floating and you can only see up to his nose because they've cut off his head. It's really distracting for someone like me. And another thing that should be expected, there's really no bonus features on this. This is about as bare bones as you can get for a release. And because I don't have a Disney Movie Club membership, I had to get this off eBay, and I spent $38 on this thing. And granted, that's not as much as they're charging on Disney Movie Club, but yeah, for $38, I was very disappointed. I was really expecting just a bit of a better release. And I know this release isn't really made for the general retail because not everyone is really clamoring for these on Blu-ray, except for people like me who grew up with them and would just really like to have them on the same shelf as the first film. But you know what? It is a relatively low fan base that wants these films. I really think they should have put more work into that and respecting what fans like myself would have wanted in a release like this. Not something, crudely slapped together like this. And I really hate to say that about it because I like the movies and the picture quality is fine. But if they didn't crop them, why did they crop them? They've released so many other direct-to-video Disney sequels on Blu-ray and maintained their aspect ratios. Why all of a sudden would they crop these? And they've released films that were in 4:3 in 4:3. Heck, Snow White was in 4:3 and they maintained that. And they added the Disney View option just in case it bothered you that there were black bars on the side. Because I get that, but don't ruin the image. Don't destroy what was intended. That's enough of me ranting, really. That's my biggest disappointment with this release. I wish it could have been better, especially for how much I paid for it, and I know a lot of fans out there who want to get these may or may not be disappointed. Maybe that doesn't bother you, fine, pick it up if you want. But that's really all I have to say. So really, overall, for these films, I mean, I think it's clear. I highly recommend you pick up the Aladdin Diamond Edition, if you haven't already, that is. Great film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is easily one of the greatest animated films of all time. It's one of my favorites, and this Diamond Edition is a superb release for this film, and was definitely worth the wait. However, as far as the sequels go, I'd say skip it. But if you're a fan who grew up with these, has a lot of nostalgia for them, and the idea of 4:3 frame being cropped to 16:9 doesn't bother you, and you have a Disney Movie Club exclusive membership, by all means, pick up this release while they still have them around. Otherwise, I'd say, just skip over it and, try to find the movies on, like, the Disney Channel or something if you're really that curious in checking them out. So that's really all I have to say about the Aladdin trilogy. I'm very excited and happy that these are on Blu-ray. Wish they did a little better with this one, but hey, I'm just happy to have all three films on high definition on my Disney shelf that continues to grow. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and please have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Get this! At school I found this magic lamp, and I wished for Disney's Aladdin for my Sega Genesis. It's like the movie! I got to battle sword-slashing thieves, and nasty palace guards, and ride a flying carpet. And I still have 2 more wishes. Prove it!
Sega Genesis and Disney's Aladdin game cartridge, each sold separately.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
There's seating near the front. The concert begins at 5. It'll be Mozart, Elvis, and one of your choosing. Or just a nice, if heaven exists, to know that there's laughter. That would be a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just to hear God goes, 2 Jews walk into a bar.